More than 30 million Americans have already voted in this election cycle. That includes more than 2 million people who voted for the first time. Virtually everywhere, we're seeing more likely Democrats voting early than Republicans.
Wait, oh, no, it's not Steve Kornacki.
But the margins are very much smaller than they were in 2020, and it matters a lot across different battleground states. Pennsylvania, for example, in 2020, we saw Democrats make up 72% of early voters at this point. Now it's down to 60%, but that still means that Democrats have banked maybe 400,000 more votes than Republicans, according to our partners at 538. A much different story, though, emerging in Nevada so far. The Democrats have basically no advantage right now. There's still time to make up the numbers, but check this out. In 2020, Republicans were only 33% of early voters. Now it is up to 40%. So in this big state with a big Latino population, a whole lot of union members, some warning signs, at least early on in early voting for Democrats, George.
And Rick, Generals John Kelly, Mark Milley have called Donald Trump a fascist. Kamala Harris agrees. And we have some polling on that.
Yeah, I mean, this has been such a negative campaign that actually both candidates are calling each other fascists. So we asked the question in our new poll with Ipsos, which candidate do you think that label applies to? And we even defined it in asking the question as quote, a political extremist who seeks to act as a dictator. 49%.
Dude, I'm sorry. Are people like a question throughout all of this poll watch, election watch coverage that I've conducted? This question keeps coming up for me. Are Americans stupid? And the answer is a resounding yes. First of all, the fact that we have a who is a fascist among registered voters is a question to begin with in America. Not good. Okay. Gonna go out on a limb here and say probably not good for where we are at in this moment in time. Not a good sign, okay? Definitely not a good sign. Now, having said that, an even worse sign is the fact that only 49% in these two options has decided that Donald Trump is a fascist. And a wilder one is the 22% that's like, yeah, Kamala Harris is a fascist, but I don't think that they mean it in the way that you would, in the way that I would say that like any American president is like fascist adjacent. So what's happening here? What's going on? Is it like a Aiden Ross style situation where they're like a fascist ultra analyst? Like Americans are just Aiden Ross coded. They just don't know what it is. So they're kind of confused by the prospect. Like, is that what the is happening here? Or what is it really? It might be time to admit that No Child Left Behind was a mistake. Yeah, I shit you not. I asked one of my Republican neighbors what a fascist is. He said a religious person who fasts. That's cool. That's a cool thing. That's cool. That's good. SNL surprisingly broke down what you've been saying about Gaza. Oh, yeah. He's a HasanAbi head, by the way, for the record. I was talking to him this morning, actually. My goat. SNL got some good pickups this season, okay? This was one of my favorite pieces of commentary I've seen on SNL in a while. But yeah, he's great. Apparently they were coming after him.
That's almost half the country say that Donald Trump is indeed a fascist. Only 22% say the same thing about Vice President Harris. That poll, by the way, was conducted before those John Kelly comments where he said he is a fascist. And it raises a question.
This is such funny coverage. This poll was, of course, conducted before he said he is a fascist, or John Kelly said he is a fascist.
About how that can be. Well, among those who say that Donald Trump is a fascist, 8% say they're supporting him, they're voting for him anyway. And while that fascist label isn't really sticking on Harris, the idea of her pandering to voters seems to be. 57% of registered voters say that Harris makes proposals just to get votes, not to make policy.
This is also kind of stupid. Like, what do you mean? That's called running in a democratic election. Like, what? God, we are such a fucking stupid country. I swear to God, dude. This person's just pandering to me. It's like, first of all, who the f is she pandering to? She's pandering to like a collective total of like 100,000 people across 7 fucking states. Okay. That may or may not even vote for her at the end of it all. And and having said that, yeah, like that's the point. The point is you are supposed to say you're going to do good things so that people vote for you. That's the whole point.
Slightly more than people feel the same way about Donald Trump.
I kept trying to debate my professor the shy Trump voter won't be significant of an effect because they're not as shy anymore, but he kept saying it's still going to impact the election. What do you think? I think your professor is wrong. I don't think that they're shy Trump voters necessarily, but they are Trump voters that might not be getting polled. What does that mean? They're not shy. They're just not from the normal avenues were, I mean, they're not shy. They're low or mid propensity voters. That's it. I think that is what the real problem here is, which pollsters, in an effort not to repeat 2016, have tried to combat against that by basically weighing the scales by at least 2 points in Trump's direction. Now, the problem with low propensity voters is, are they going to vote or are they not going to vote? That's why there's a lot of conversations around Trump potentially winning the popular vote and still losing the electoral college. If turnout is omega high in Florida, right? Because all of the crypto nuts are just going crazy in Florida or in red states, but his turnout in his conspiracy guys in like Pennsylvania or Michigan or all these other places are not actually coming out to vote, then, you know, he's cooked. He wins the popular vote and then loses the electoral college. I think the country's on the wrong track for many structural reasons that transcend administrations. I'm still voting for Kamala. I honestly don't see this question as a good predictive indicator. Don't think it was in 2012 famously. Then the Republican Party may actually want to get rid of the electoral college. Yeah, that'd be really funny. What outcome is funnier, Trump victory or Kamala victory? I think neither is funny. I think both are shitty outcomes. One is like maybe marginally like putting a pause, and not even necessarily a pause, but just like slowing down the acceleration towards fascism, but like not dramatically. At least you could make the argument that you were putting a pause on the acceleration towards fascism in previous elections, but that's gone now. In terms of what is going on in American foreign policy, that's bipartisan, that's uniparty. It's not going to fucking stop. It's just only going to get worse. But the avenues in which the Democratic Party can like offer some level of protection to marginalized communities is also getting smaller and smaller. They just dropped they dropped immigrants in its entirety. They're like, nah, you guys are done. We're done with you. Bro, you can't call Trump a fascist and they say it's marginally better. I don't know, you don't support her, but Trump is a racist fascist pig and it's a considerable difference. Dog, I call Trump a fascist and I despise Kamala Harris for literally adopting the fascist ideology of the actual fascist. That's my problem. Time and time again, I have repeated that this argument is not simply just about Gaza, even though that is a valid argument to make, right? You can't even launch an effective attack that Trump is a fascist when you have adopted half of his policies. You cannot launch a significant line of attack that Trump is a fascist when you're doing photo ops with Liz Cheney. This is the issue. This is the real problem. Dick Cheney is worse than Donald Trump, by the way. Like, his impact on the world was worse than Donald Trump. I don't know what Trump will do in his second term, but I know what Dick Cheney did in 2 terms. The Bush administration and its impact on the entire planet, the Bush administration's impact on American domestic politics was far worse than Donald Trump's. This does not make Donald Trump a good person, not even a little bit. This race is who you hate less. Every American election is who you hate less. The problem that I have with the Democrats in general, and it's kind of funny because like we're currently talking about how much I despise the Republicans, and then you ask me to talk about fucking Democrats, and then of course I'm going to be honest and start shitting on the Democrats. But the problem here is my hatred for the Democratic Party is that they do not launch a real fight against the damage that Republicans contribute to American society. They don't do it. They're not doing it for one reason or another. They're just simply not doing it. And that's so fucking frustrating to me. I'm like, I'm the one who actually hates Republicans, not you. You don't hate Republicans. If you're like, so many Democrats just constantly behave like they actually don't have a problem with the Republicans at all. It's so fucking stupid. I still think Harris wins this, but at some point we should discuss how 2 months of outreach to Republicans produced no benefit whatsoever. All it did was stop her ascent and cap her support at 49%. This is correct.